Hey everyone, my name is Chloe and welcome to part 2 of my favorites for the year. So, trying to pick my favorite books of the year is like trying to pick favorite child, you guys. I read, I think like 240 books at last year in 2023, and so trying to pick really is like the hardest thing ever. So I did a video last week that was my favorite middle grade books that I read with my kids or not, just different middle grade, because I feel like those are comparing apples to oranges. So, I feel like those need to be separated. Also, I feel like nonfiction needs to be separated because, again, apples to oranges, comparing nonfiction to fiction. Indulge me here, guys. I'm just trying to not pick favorites. So today I'm going to be telling you my top 20 nonfiction books that I read in 2023. Now, I only have 2 of these, which is a big bummer, but I'll be putting up pictures. Fair warning that my husband is not here right now, and so my 5, almost 6-year-old is babysitting her sisters in the other room, and so if there's a lot of cuts and interruptions, please forgive me, but we're going to see how it goes. So let's just get into it. These are in no particular order. I cannot do that. It's actually my top 15. I said 20. I lied. It's top 15. Okay, so the first is The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. You guys, this is my only celebrity memoir for sure. And that is because I'm 30, in my early 30s. Let's just say that. So I'm in my early 30s, which means I was a tween when Britney Spears was popular. And you guys, I was in love with Justin Timberlake. Like, in love. Posters everywhere, pictures everywhere. Love that man. So the whole Britney Justin thing was like a hot topic. And I loved reading this book. I think it's equal parts like feeding my tween fangirl, and like talking about those times and like some of the things that were going on behind the scenes that people suspected but didn't know, and some of the juicy gossip and all that kind of stuff. So it's equal parts like I loved it for that. But on the other side, it's also like I do feel like it brings up a really important topic of like conservatorship and how we treat people with mental health issues, and how somebody in 2015 or whatever year, in the 2000s, how are people's rights still being stripped so heavily from them? And just all of it, like her birth control was controlled, her food was controlled, everything was controlled by a man who is not stable in his own right, her father. And so there's 2 sides to every story. I have no doubt that this is Britney's perspective on things. I'm sure there's another side, but just that our culture and our society and our judicial system is set up where this is possible is mind-boggling to me. And so it's like heartbreaking for her and what she's going through and the mental health struggles that she's having and not getting help for, postpartum stuff that she's not getting help for. And just, yes, it was heavy and it was hard, but it was so good. Okay, sorry, interrupted not by my kids, but by my husband, who is at the grocery store because I am trying to make sourdough and ran out of flour, so he's there. And didn't know what type of flour to buy. So anyway, Woman in Me, highly recommend. Next is The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, How to Stay Emotionally Healthy and Spiritually Alive in the Chaos of the Modern World by John Mark Comer. So this is really interesting. Towards in the fall of last year, I was really feeling that pull to need to just slow down. We had so much going on and so many great things, not bad things at all. So many great things going on. But we were running at a breakneck pace. And then now, it's January and we've had snowpocalypse and icepocalypse and all the things where it's been freezing and we can't go anywhere. Things are canceled. We've definitely had to slow down. And it's interesting, applying some of the principles from this book as well as just life circumstances and how, there needs to be a medium, because where we're at now, we're so crazy. We're we are too busy of people to be stuck inside like this. We like being busy, but not breakneck busy, and making sure that the busyness matches our values. And so this really inspired me to kind of look at our schedule, look at what my kids are involved in, look at all the balls that are in the air and see which ones can be dropped. And so I loved it. And I feel like in our culture, this book needs to be in everybody's hands. Next is Outer Order, Inner Calm by Gretchen Rubin. So you'll notice I kind of grouped these by similar themes, but I love organization. You guys, I'm type A, with a capital A. I love organization. I love tidiness. Being married to my husband has made me a little bit of a minimalist. My husband is very much not a minimalist and is very comforted by clutter, we'll say. And I'm very anxious by clutter. And so perfect match. But yeah, so this outer order, inner calm just kind of reminded me of different ways to organize my space to make it okay for my brain. So love that. Gretchen Rubin is great. Everything she writes, she's all about chasing happiness and kind of making things easy on yourself. So there's that. Next is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And this one's more about starting new habits. And I don't really have that problem. I more need to like break habits that I don't love. And there is some talk of that, but we're talking about Atomic Habits is talking about just doing things a little bit better every day, just a little bit better, and also habit stacking. So I'm sure you've heard of habit stacking, but basically pairing something you don't love with something you do love. So doing dishes, but with an audiobook, or taking vitamins right after you brush your teeth, something that you do, like you're not going to forget to brush your teeth, but you may forget to take your vitamins, habit stacking and things like that. And also just the notion that like today doesn't have to be the perfect day. Tomorrow, it's not everything starts on Monday. Tomorrow's going to be a perfect day. No, tomorrow's going to be slightly better than today. And the next day is going to be slightly better than that. And we're just going to keep working towards who we want to be, the goals we want to have, all that kind of stuff. Loved it. Next is Bomb Shelter, Love, Time, and Other Explosives by Mary Laura Philpott. So this is a memoir about a woman, her 18-year-old, 17-year-old, something, her almost grown son starts having grand mal seizures. And it's just a conversation around anxiety, honestly. It's about how we don't know what's coming. We don't know what's coming. Not a single person on this earth knows what's coming. But God does. And it might be hard. It might be stuff we don't choose. But if we live in the future of what could happen and the bad things that could happen, we're missing so much in the present. And I think that is just, I need that reminder constantly that you can't be present if you're looking to the future of what could happen, and nobody knows what's going to happen. There's going to be great things. There's going to be bad things. Both are inevitable. Just living in the now. And I feel like her story really helped me to see that. Next is Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before by Julie Smith. This is a book that definitely needs to be read physically and with a workbook, because this tells you about all different ways to kind of think about things, the way your mind works, the way habits work, the way all these kind of things, like mechanisms behind, like physiological mechanisms behind it. And it's a very, I would say it's a very approachable way. You don't have to be super science-minded or body-minded necessarily to understand. And it's just a very interesting read to think about. Next is The Call of the Wild and Free by Ainsley, Arment. And so Wild and Free is a homeschooling theory, concept, whatever, that I have heard about before. But I honestly read this book because I had read quite a few books with either main characters or authors named Annie, which is one of my daughters. I have another daughter named Ainsley, and she said, what about Ainsley books? So I looked in our library database for Ainsley, and she is the one that came up multiple times. And so I thought, well, we'll read it. And I really liked this book. The Wild and Free theory is not something that I'm going to fully embrace, but I definitely take parts of it because it's just about one of the huge proponents is getting our kids outside and not saying anything negative about the weather. And you guys, sorry, it's not gonna happen. We spend as much time as possible outside, but when it's 22 degrees with a wind chill of negative 1,000, it's not gonna happen. So yeah, I really liked parts of it. I like the idea of letting kids be kids, letting them explore authentically, letting things come about naturally. I really like those ideas, and I will definitely continue. They have a Wild and Free Christmas activities, Wild and Free, all these things that really, I feel like the philosophy is a good thing to incorporate into our homeschool. Next is The Unhurried Homeschooler by Durenda Wilson. So again, my daughter is very advanced. She's 5 and she's doing second grade curriculum. She just is a very bookish individual, very relatable. She is my mini me in so many ways, in ways that are good and ways that are bad. But she is, because she's so mature and advanced in things, I often find myself kind of trying to push her a little bit. And, I don't need to. And this book reminds me that like things will come. A lot of learning is natural. Not that I'm going to turn to an unschooler who just lets everything come naturally, because that just, my brain doesn't work that way. I'm too type A for that. But that a lot comes naturally, especially when she's 5. I mean, she's almost 6, but still, like when she's 6, when she's 7, it's okay. It's okay. Don't hurry. Next is the one that I do have, the ReadAloud Family by Sarah Mackenzie. So this is not homeschool specific, but it's just about the importance as well as the beauty of reading aloud. And you guys know that we love to read aloud. And this book like motivated me to read so darn much, but just about how reading aloud creates inside jokes. It creates people that we feel like we know. It creates a bond between us that is like far beyond the time that we're reading. It's so much more than that. And this is found in the Read Aloud Revival. I think there's a Read Aloud Family podcast. Really good stuff. So definitely recommend that for anybody with kids, not just homeschool. Then we have Good Inside, which I really want. A Guide to Becoming the Parent You Want to Be by Becky Kennedy. So Dr. Becky Kennedy is, she does have a podcast, and she has written a lot of things, and she's even on social media and does great things. And her whole theory is that our kids are good inside, and everything they're doing that we don't love is trying to express a need that they can't figure out how to meet, or that they're not getting met. And so just kind of taking that perspective of like the things that are so frustrating, it's like, gosh, what's going on? What need is not met? And this book really causes you to look at yourself first and how you were parented and things that maybe came up for you and unmet needs that continually happened for you. And reminds you that you too are good inside. So if you explode on your kids, that doesn't mean you're a terrible mother, or, if bad things happen, it means you also have unmet needs, and that's okay. And figuring out how to meet everybody's needs, it's not always going to happen perfectly. You're not going to figure it all out. You're not going to do it all, but trying is important, and giving everybody grace. I loved it. Next is Habits of the Household by Austen Whitmel Earley. And this was an interesting book just about like, what are our kids picking up just based on the habits of our household? How does our house function? Are we happy with it? Are we happy with the nonverbal messages that we're giving? And just the habits of the household. Love it. If you guys, I think you guys have been getting a fair amount of Etta Ruth content, my baby, and she's currently stacking things and climbing, so you might see a little head pop up here soon. But anyway, next is, The Eating Instinct, Food, Culture, Body Image, and Guilt in America. So this one was actually interesting and different than I expected, because it is about different eating disorders and things. It's told from a mother about her baby who was born with ARFID, I think, and just different eating disorders that can come about, like not just your typical anorexia, bulimia, again, not to downplay those, but this thought, like the whole psychology around eating was really interesting, and something I have never read before. Next, we have Your Good Body, Embracing a Body Positive Mindset in a Perfection-Focused World by Jennifer Taylor Wagner. And this one, again, is just focusing on the goods of your body. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate as somebody who's had 3 kids in the past 5 years. There's a lot of body changes and things that have happened, and my body does not look like what it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago even. And so just remembering all the good parts, and love this a lot. And the author, she just exudes joy, and I really like this. Next is Everything by Debbie Tung. Honestly, I read Book Love, Everything is Okay, Happily Ever After, and Everything in Between, Quiet Girl in a Noisy World, all of those by Debbie Tung, and I love them so much. So these are graphic novels. Book Love is about, well, you guessed it, the love of books, and so it was really relatable. Everything is Okay is about her struggle with depression, and while I am like a very anxious individual, I could understand kind of the times when mental health feels a little crippling. And then Happily Ever After and Everything in Between is marriage. we all can understand marriage. Quiet Girl in a Noisy World is about her introversion. Again, not something I can 100% relate to, but definitely helped me understand people in my life who are more introverted, and yeah, loved it. Loved her book so much. And then the last one is Sunshine by Jarrett J. I'm not going to try. I'll put the picture up here. This one, it was recommended to me by Angela. She's a subscriber, and she has become a good friend. And this is about a teenage boy who, it's another graphic novel, a teenage boy and his experience going to a camp in the summer for terminally ill children. And the point of the camp is just to give them a week of being a normal kid and not thinking about their doctors and their illnesses and all of the hard, heavy things. And yet those hard, heavy things don't just go away, because, I mean, these are terminally ill kids with different medical complexities and all of the things. And it's his experience and like his anxiety going into it, but also how much that experience changed him and made him who he is, and how these people's lives, no matter how short or long, are so important and so impactful. And it kind of hurts your heart, but it is a good one. So those are my top 15 favorite nonfiction books that I read in 2023. What are yours? Have you read any of these? You guys know I love nonfiction, and so I'm always looking for more. So if you have any great suggestions, let me know. If you've read any of these and loved them, let me know. That's it. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.